All right, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Akeen. Welcome to today's second blog. Here to continue my first round mock draft for the 2018 NFL Draft. For this blog, we're going to talk about picks numbers 11 through 20. Beginning at number 11, belonging to the Miami Dolphins. This team went 6-10 last season. Lost quarterback Ryan Tannehill was out for injury, and they need to possibly find a replacement of him if they're not really satisfied with his play this upcoming season. So Miami can go with a quarterback with this selection, but a big void that they need to fill in is at defensive tackle. And Ndamukong Suh actually departure from the team. He is now an LA Ram, so they need to fill in the void at defensive tackle. Other positions that they could look at are cornerback, linebacker, and tight end. Julius Thomas is not the guy that they wanted. It was a miss on him. They signed a big contract deal with Thomas, but they're not satisfied with his play last season. He wasn't really a big target for the quarterbacks to throw to, so they could possibly look at a tight end for this position. But I think they're going to fill in the void at defensive tackle first with their first round selection. And I'm going to have to go with Vita Vea, the DT from Washington. He's a tenacious player, and I think he's a good run stuffer who will be a good replacement of Ndamukong Suh. Next up, the Buffalo Bills holding pick number 12. The team went 9-7 last season and did make it to the playoffs. Now, they no longer have quarterback Tyrod Taylor, which was a sad situation. I don't think that he should have went to the Browns, and Buffalo didn't really wanted to keep them, which is a tough break for the Bills. They're gonna have to fill in the void at quarterback. Now they did add AJ McCarron as a good backup quarterback to use. I don't think they really signed him to be the starter, so they're desperately in need of a quarterback. Now they should try to trade up to try to get a better quarterback. One team in particular that they should look at is the New York Giants at pick number 2 if they really want to go that far. But I think they could still get a decent quarterback, because I still have a quarterback that I have in my mock draft who is available, and that is Josh Allen coming out of Wyoming. A lot of people have high hopes on him. He has great upside, great potential to become a good quarterback. He has the size, he has the arm. He needs to work on his accuracy, though. I think he's at 56% career-wise. Didn't really improve too much as far as his accuracy from 2016 to the 2017 season. But I still think that he has a good upside, and Buffalo should select him with this particular pick. Now, going back to the New York Giants, though, I think they should try to make that trade, because they could use a good running back. I think that the Giants try to trade with the Bills. They should try to get LaShawn McCoy and a first rounder to swap picks with Buffalo, from putting Buffalo from number 12 pick to number 2 if Buffalo is that desperate. I think that's what the asking price for the Giants to get for that second overall selection. But I think the Buffalo Bills should be fine with this pick. I think they should still get a decent quarterback, and I still have Josh Allen available, so I have them going with him. Next up, the Washington Redskins hold its 13th selection. The team went 7-9 last season. Now, the team is in dire need of a stout run stopper in the interior lineman and in the interior defensive line. They do need a lot of help in that particular department. Now, I do like Jonathan Allen, and they do have, let's not forget about Ryan Anderson, their pick from last season's draft in the second round. But other areas that they need are, they still can use a good another linebacker. They need a cornerback, an offensive guard, and a solid backup quarterback, in my opinion. But I think they're going to address the defensive tackle position, and I will have to go with Daron Payne coming out of Alabama, reuniting himself with Anderson and Jonathan Allen, which is going to be great look for the Washington Redskins paper wise. Hopefully things get together as the team, if the players do reunite. I think this is going to be a good pick, but I do like the safety position that they can fill in as well. But I have to go with defensive tackle. That is the dire need, because they were ran all over last season. Next up, the Green Bay Packers hold the 14th selection. Green Bay with 7-9 without Aaron Rodgers, but he is returning. But he's going to have to return without his wide receiver and Jordy Nelson. He's now, I believe, with the Oakland Raiders, which is going to be a tough situation for him. Now, they do have Devontae Adams still returning their top. He should be the number 1 target for Rodgers to throw to, but they can still use another wide receiver. Other areas that they could look at are cornerback, offensive tackle, and outside linebacker. They need an edge rusher, and I think that's what they need most, a good edge rusher / outside linebacker. And I have a diaper dandy guy for you guys, and that is Harold Landry, the defensive end / outside linebacker coming out of Boston College. Now, his numbers did drop this past season, but the previous year he had 22.5 tackles for loss, and he wreaked havoc in the ACC conference. I think because of his versatility, he can play both rush in and outside linebacker. Reminds me a lot of Clay Matthews, so I think this will be an excellent pick for the Packers defensive unit. Next up, the Arizona Cardinals hold pick number 15. Team went 500 last season, going 8-8. Now, Carson Palmer decided to retire, so this is obviously what they need is a quarterback. Now, they did sign Sam Bradford and Mike Glennon. I think Mike Glennon could be a good backup. Sam Bradford, he just has a hard time staying healthy. That is the case throughout his career. I still think the Arizona Cardinals could pick a quarterback with the selection. I will give you my pick in just a second. But other areas that they need to have some more help in the offensive line, particularly at the guard position. Now, they did sign Andre Smith at right tackle, which is a decent signing. They also can use a safety and a cornerback because Tyrann Mathieu is actually no longer with the team. They can use some help with that. And a wide receiver, John Brown's no longer with the team, and Larry Fitzgerald is not getting any younger, so you do need a stud at wideout as well. But I really think they should flip a coin here. They should go with a risk here and select a quarterback here. And the quarterback that I believe that they should select is Lamar Jackson coming out of Louisville over Baker Mayfield. I'll explain why. I do like Lamar Jackson's true athleticism as a runner. He definitely can give you some good yards through his legs, but he actually improved this past season as a passer, particularly in the deep ball. Coach Bobby Petrino did a pretty good job helping him out this past season, so it just shows that because he's growing, that means he still has more time to grow as a quarterback in the NFL. I think he should play quarterback. He has good strength, he has great durability, and like I say, he's spectacular when running the football. I think that the Arizona Cardinals should take a chance here and go with Lamar Jackson over Baker Mayfield. Now, Baker Mayfield was a great college quarterback, and a lot of people like to compare him to Russell Wilson. I can't compare him to Russell Wilson. Now, yes, he has the size and he has good passing ability like Russell Wilson, but you have to understand they use a great spread offense in at Oklahoma, in which the Big 12 is actually known as an offensive conference in which the defenses don't really play too well compared to offensive units. And I think that Baker Mayfield benefited because of that. He's a great quarterback. He did walk on. He did play with a chip on his shoulder and showed why he was the Heisman Trophy winner last season. He had a great year. I'm not trying to disrespect him, but I can't compare him to Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson played also well in two other schools. And then when he transferred to Wisconsin, which is a running back school, a ground attack school, he actually broke school records in that lone season for the Badgers, leading the team to a Rose Bowl appearance. Now, I think Russell Wilson is a much better athletic quarterback than Baker Mayfield, so I can't really compare the two, even though they have similar stories in which they both did transfer to different schools and succeeded in those different schools. But you can't really compare the two as far as their athleticism and the upstairs at quarterback, because we all know the off-the-field issues that Baker Mayfield had during his career in college football. So I have to go with Lamar Jackson over Baker Mayfield with the 15th pick for the Cardinals. Next up, the 16th selection belongs to the Baltimore Ravens. Team went 9-7 last season. Now, they did have a couple of key signs at wide receiver with John Brown and Michael Crabtree, but I still think they could possibly try to get a wide receiver in this year's draft, but I don't think they will. They also can use a tight end, an inside linebacker, a solid backup quarterback. I lost my faith in RG3. They did sign him to a 1-year, $1 million base salary contract, but I kind of lost faith in him, so I'm actually away from RG3. I think they also can select a backup quarterback, but I think they're going to try to address more the offensive line because they did lose center in Ryan Jensen, so they could go with offensive guard or a tackle or a center. And I think the best player that they could get is Mike McClinchy coming out of Notre Dame. He's actually good lineman along with Quentin Nelson for the Fighting Irish. They did a great job running the football as well as protecting the passer. I think that McClinchy should be the guy that the Ravens should pick with this selection. Next up, the 17th overall pick belongs to the Los Angeles Chargers. Then they went 9-7 as well last season. Phillip Rivers isn't getting any younger, so they could try to possibly look for a future quarterback. But they do have other needs that are more important this upcoming draft. They could use more help in the offensive line and have an upgrade over both Russell Okung and Joe Barksdale. They can use an inside linebacker, a defensive lineman, and possibly a safety if they do not sign Trey Boston. I believe he is still a free agent. So they could go with a safety with this particular selection. But I think for this pick, I think they should go with inside linebacker in this one. And I have a player that some people aren't talking enough about, and that is Leighton Vander Esch coming out of Boise State. He had a big season last year with 147 tackles. That shows that he has a good nose for the football and could get from sideline to sideline. I think this could be a good sleeper pick for the Chargers with this selection. Next up, the Seattle Seahawks. They have the 18th selection of this year's draft. They too went 9-7, and I think they can have some more help with the offensive line. But I think they can also fill in the void at cornerback because they did not re-sign Richard Sherman. So I think that they could look at Josh Jackson coming out of Iowa or Mike Hughes coming out of Central Florida. Now, another area they need to fill in the void is at the defensive line. Michael Bennett is now a Philadelphia Eagle, so they could use a good player to fill in that void as well. And I think they're going to go to that position. And the player that I have available for you guys, for the Seahawks, is Marcus Davenport coming out of UTEP. He has 17 tackles for loss to go along with 8.5 sacks, and he has excellent measurements, good size at 270 pounds, good wingspan, and he has great athleticism, which he did show this past season and even during the combine. So he himself actually rose his draft status for this year's NFL draft. I will go with Davenport coming out of UTEP. Next up, the 19th pick belonging to the Dallas Cowboys. Team went 9-7 last season, looking to get back into the playoffs and win the NFC East division. They just really have to get past the Philadelphia Eagles, but you still have to watch out for the Redskins and the Giants. But this is looking like it's the Eagles who are the favorite entering this season, and the Cowboys are looking to take that away, along with the other teams. Now, positions that they can fill in, that they need to fill in is at wide receiver because they did not sign. They actually released Dez Bryant, so they can use a wide receiver for this selection. They also need a tight end. Jason Witten needs to retire, needs to be gone. Defensive tackle is a player that an area that they need to fill in, as well as an offensive guard. Yes, they can still use some help with the offensive line, even though they have a great offensive line. They can still use another upgrade in offensive guard and linebacker. For this pick, I will have them go with the wide receiver. And I'm actually going to go with Cortland Sutton coming out of SMU over Calvin Ridley out of Alabama. People believe that Ridley is the number one receiver entering this year's draft. I don't blame him. I don't blame them. I actually agree with them. But I think the better fit, the better look, the better situation for Dallas is to put in a bigger target for Dak Prescott to throw to, and Sutton is that guy. He has great size at 6'3", 220 pounds. I think this is going to be a great pick for the Dallas Cowboys. Lastly, for this blog, let's talk about pick number 20 belonging to the Detroit Lions. This team went 9-7 as well. A lot of 9-7 teams. Teams were fighting to make it to the playoffs this past season. It was a great year. Now, team areas that they need to fill in, they put the franchise tag on Ziggy Ansah, but they still need to add more disruption in the defensive line. It's particularly at the end position. They can look at that. They can also look for a tight end, despite the fact that they signed Luke Wilson. Eric Ebrams actually no longer with the team, so that's going to be a area that they need to address, the tight end position. Don't have too much faith in Luke Wilson. They could also use some help at running back. they just haven't really gotten the things together at the running back position, but I think it's more because of the poor run scheme or run blocking of the offensive line for the Lions. I think they're going to address the guard position, and I still have Will Hernandez, the guard coming out of UTEP, still available. I think the Lions should select him for this pick. Now, the next time to catch you guys will be in just a couple minutes. I have one more blog for today to talk about the remaining picks of the first round of this year's draft. Thank you for watching this blog. I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.